Oh, that's always good when you come up on the stage and your computer hasn't broken. I was presenting in Canada once, and I was supposed to do a live malware demonstration, and I came up to the stage, and as I touched the computer, smoke came out of it. It quite literally, well, I suppose, set on fire, which made the following 45 minutes a very painful live malware demonstration. So, good morning, everyone. Oh, that's a bad start. Good morning, everyone. Ah, excellent. Obviously, we haven't had enough of that strong Italian coffee. I've had too much of it, so I'm kind of vibrating already. It's quite amazing. And I've taken a love to your Italian. This is actually from Milan as well, which is spectacular. So, do I get any points for that? Yes? Excellent. All right, so I'm going to do a brief anatomy of attack, and I'm going to show you how the bad guys break into systems, and I'm going to do some demonstrations against some fun new devices like iPads. Before I begin, a very quick health and safety warning. Firstly, about me, I tend to get a little bit excited, a little bit distracted. So if I start ranting really quickly and you can't understand what I'm saying, please just throw something at me, put me back on the right track, okay? But none of that good coffee, okay? Keep that to yourself. Number two, everything I'm going to show you is live and in the wild. That means please don't go and search for it. If you get infected with malware, having been at a security conference, it'd be a little bit embarrassing. So please practice safe hex, as I like to say very, very carefully. Brief introduction to me, if you haven't come across me before. It's pretty much a summary of my career so far. I really did used to have hair that astonishingly bad, actually. It was quite impressive. But, I spend a lot of time playing with the bad guys' latest creations, but also out in the world talking to businesses, small, medium, and large, about their security challenges. Now, I think Vanya set the scene quite wonderfully with the world of modern malicious code. But I think we have a really interesting challenge in security right now with the amount of hype spinning around. I mean, every headline every day talks about APTs and advanced persistent threats or adequately persistent threats or advanced persistent, whatever they stand for now. Or perhaps the risk of cyber war, which that's the best picture of a magazine ever, isn't it? I mean, I really want one of these. Like, if anyone finds that on eBay, you have to tell me where to get it. It's astonishing. But, of course, amidst all of that hype, we do have this real challenge that's been notioned towards this morning, this massive escalation in the quantity and the quality of malicious code. I'm seeing in the order of 200,000 individual pieces of malware every day. So I'm going to show you some of the tools that the bad guys use to make this volume, and then I'm going to show you how the quality of malicious code has improved. But before I do any of that, I want to get one thing out of the way. See, as a security vendor, everyone always kind of goes, oh, you're going to focus on the high-end, really interesting new zero-day attack that hits defense companies and isn't relevant to me. Well, let me reassure you that an astonishing amount of malicious code, these attacks every day, still occur because people fail to do the basics. People click on silly things that they shouldn't. People fail to keep themselves patched and up to date. As you can see, this is my collection of favorite spam messages. People have different hobbies, I know. Mine are a little weird. Some people collect stamps, other people collect cars. I collect spam. I'm a particular fan of this bottom one here. You can probably figure this out. Bleep in large patch will make your bleep so large you'll be able to park a car on it. Who are these people that are clicking on these messages, right? It's really embarrassing the other day, though, because I was presenting at a very serious government conference, and they converted my presentation from Mac to Windows PowerPoint, and the grey boxes moved. So I'm kind of trying to cover it up on the screen, but it's just projecting over my hand. So anyway, let me reassure you that a lot of this stuff is very basic. Of course, cybercriminals have grown much smarter too. Now they have things like testing infrastructure, quality assurance in the cloud for malware authors. So you can go to a website like this, and you can sign up, put in your credit card details. Well, I mean, you steal someone else's credit card details and use those. If you're a cyber criminal, it'd be silly otherwise. And you upload your virus, and it gives you this quality assessment. It tells you which vendors detect you. And now, these services have grown really quite feature-rich. This is what I believe is Russian, although could well be Welsh or French, as far as I'm concerned. Does anyone speak Russian here? No? Worth a go. But here's a Google Translate of the feature page. And notice complete anonymity, all the antivirus updates every hour, and this bit is really impressive. Supports remote API checks from the server. They've published a nice little automation interface so that the bad guys can continually test their malicious code. And the second a vendor detects them, they can automatically transition to a new version. I mean, this is pretty mature use of business models and cloud technology. I should also show you the wonderful reporting interface that they have for this particular product, of which there are many. So this is obviously driving up the quality of malicious code, making it harder for vendors like Sophos to detect their nasty wares. But they're also getting much smarter about the kinds of malware they put onto systems. So I want to very quickly show you an example of malware that I find particularly scary. Now, this malicious code is not a new concept. It's been around for a number of years. But it has recently massively increased in quality and volume. And I'd like you all to go away from here making sure you've prepared for this kind of scenario. So I've got a poor vulnerable Windows client here. I'm going to open up my email client, and I've got a copy of a spam message. Now I've taken this from a spam trap and inserted it into a little safe environment to play with here. Before we go any further with this campaign, I'm going to create a quick document, because I haven't got any data on this system. So we'll just create an RTF, call it hello. There we go. And we'll just put in Sophos is awesome, way better than Kaspersky. Totally subtle advertising. There you go. It's the only bit I'll do, I promise. I can't promise that. Okay, so what this spam message says is, dear employee, a serious threat has been released which threats your personal data, and so on and so on and so on. It's basically the scammers pretending to be the IT team. Now, this is a great tactic because, I mean, there are lots of bad spam messages out there, aren't there? I mean, how many of you have seen the, hi, I'm a Nigerian banker, and I'd like to give you 63 million euros because I like your face, right? Or the, how about a Rolex for 5 euros, right? It's perfectly normal Rolex, except it's got 2 L's, Rolex. You've seen these messages? Or the weird ones I'm getting at the moment, people selling heavy metals. Would you like to buy some actinium? There's got to be a very niche spam, hasn't it? It's quite strange. Anyway, this one is much more high quality because, of course, end users trust their IT teams. So they immediately go and try and deploy the patch. But have a look at the patch address. I think this is the funniest web address on the internet. Microshaft.com. I mean, that's just brilliant, isn't it? I would pay so much money to own that domain name. Just think what you could do with it. All right, so let's click on the link, and it'll open up, and it'll go off to my web server. Sorry, the internet connection here is a little bit flaky and slow, and download a copy of the file. Now, no clever exploits here, just social engineering. When we click on the file, up comes this dialog box. This dialog box is scientifically provable invisible. No one can see it. I know this because everyone always clicks yes. Do you know the bad certificate warning that comes up? Yeah? I once changed that, with permission, in a 1,000 user company to say, if you click continue, 1,000 kittens will die. No one noticed. Not even the IT team. Right? We don't read text on computers. We just do this until pretty pictures come up that we like. So we'll click run, okay? We'll minimize the screen, and after a while, we get something that you'll recognize, a very familiar dialog box. You know, one of those pop-ups you can't close. You know the ones I mean? This one. Yeah? You seen that? It's really annoying, isn't it? So we'll do what every user does, and we'll just put it over there. Seriously, you know you've done it. Windows Update, over there. You go to these infected computers, and it's like Adobe, Windows Update, Java, boom, 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 boom. Anyway, so you might continue using the computer, but here's the scary bit. If we look at my RTF file from before and open it up, you can see that all of the contents has become nastily encrypted. By the way, this is the technical sign for encrypted. Okay. If you do it sideways, it's obfuscated or corrupted, encrypted. Very important you don't mix them up, you know? You've got to practice that in the mirror. So you go home, you're like, what did I learn at the Sophos conference? Encryption. No, encryption. Obfuscation. Sorry, you can see why there's a health and safety warning now, can't you? All right, so this document is now completely inaccessible. And if we have a look at the message, it says, your files are encrypted with RSA 1024 algorithm to recovery your files. English isn't really an important subject for cybercriminals, apparently. You need to buy our decryptor, which you can get here. Now, these earlier examples of ransomware were quite simple. You could reverse engineer them, get the password, and decrypt the data. These more modern examples use full implementations of public key cryptography. So how rude is that? I mean, holding my data to ransom on my computer and demanding money to get access to the password. I mean, as we say in England, that's just not cricket, right? It's a pretty unusual expression. I didn't think anyone in Italy would like it, but if you ever want to sound English, just say that. It works. Or drink gin and tonic, also very popular way of appearing English. Anyway, so I did warn you. So let's have a look at a couple of other versions of social engineering campaigns in ransomware. This one is particularly nasty. This is very much like that campaign I've just shown you, except it threatens that if you don't pay the 3,000 euro figure within 96 hours, they will release a password to the police, which decrypts certain files on your hard drive containing child pornography and spam software. That's pretty nasty, isn't it? Imagine someone who isn't an expert in forensics, how panicked they would be by that threat. In other instances, the bad guys will even pretend to be the police. This campaign, which I quite like the idea of, by the way, what's happened here is the cybercriminals are accusing me of doing something wrong on the internet, and they're issuing an on-the-spot fine, which I quite like the idea of. You know, you've used the internet wrong, pay 50 euros. Right? Before long, the internet would be a perfect place, wouldn't it? This campaign changes depending on where you access it. I accessed it in London, and therefore I have the Metropolitan Police. If you access it here, you get the local police force, and the currency changes to euros. So you can see this particular malicious code is very difficult, because if you get infected, you have two options. Pay the cybercriminals money. Some of them are weirdly honest for cybercriminals. They will actually give you the password. Others will have gone out of business and won't respond, and others will ask for more money. Your second option, restore to a backup. How many people here have a backup that they absolutely trust? You're very honest people. That's a representative group. When I did this in the UK recently, about half of the room put their hands up. I was just like, liars. I don't have a great backup. I'm about 2 weeks out of date on my backup, which is not bad, but I know it's bad, but I haven't quite got around to changing it yet. So, a very important point for us all to consider. Now, another concept that was mentioned in the introduction, Cryback. Ooh. Software made by cybercriminals for cybercriminals, designed to make it easy to distribute your malicious code. Now, this is my favorite of the Cryback software packages. You can see why. I mean, it's a very kind of gangster graphic set. Clearly, they're very angry with their mummies. I think this is technically known as being badass in the technical community. This software package is available for a couple of €1,000. Alternatively, if you don't want to commit to being a full-time cybercriminal, you can actually license it on a monthly basis in the cloud. So they have an evaluation version to see if you like stealing people's data. This software package also comes with a nice installation wizard, and you need a serial number to activate it. You get this. It even has technical support. So, if you're struggling to set up your illegal Cryback server, you can email the bad guys, and they'll give you some tips so you can get up and running. Now, let me switch over very quickly to a copy of Cryback that I've installed on this system so I can show you how it works. So here's one I made earlier. We'll just log in. I've set it up with a very real-world username and password, admin and password. Of course, in a production environment, it would be password 1 or password 2. Domain administrator accounts, password 2012. We laugh, but you'd be amazed how often it actually happens. So let's log in. And of course, we won't save the password because cybercriminals take security very seriously. So here we can see our cybercriminals' business reporting dashboard with the number of unique hits, the exploit rate, a breakdown of which vulnerabilities were used, which operating systems, and which countries. I even saw one of these the other day with a CRM built into it, a customer relationship management tool. So as they infected their customers with the fake AV, the likes that Vanya showed you, they were able to manage the experience end-to-end of their customers. And they had this one column labeled exploitability. So I'm thinking exploitability, that's probably the end user's lack of patches. But they were actually talking about how gullible the end user was. And they were selling this data to an Indian outsourcing company who were calling up the people infected with fake antivirus and selling them platinum support services. How rude is that? I mean, getting someone once is bad, but selling them technical support for the malware you put on their computer, I mean, that's just not cricket, as I said earlier. So, let's have a look at this little Cryback here. There's a nice settings box where you can configure all of the options, very easy to configure. And creating a new malware campaign is very simple. We click this button, and it generates a new obfuscated, see, not encrypted, obfuscated script, which we can copy and paste into an email, or using the tools in this application, we can inject into a website, just like Marco was talking about in the introduction. But notice, every time we click the link, all of the contents changes. And so now, these Crybacks are actually releasing product updates. So as we update our security capabilities, they over here have systems watching us, or watching our systems, which are updating their obfuscation techniques to make it hard for security vendors to keep up with everything as it evolves. Now, this isn't the only Cryback out there, of course. Vanya mentioned the Blackhole exploit pack, by far the most popular exploit pack out there at the moment, presently on version 2 with some very impressive features. This is an overview of the dashboard, mostly in Russian. You can see they've also, in version 2, introduced support for captcha authentication, because it's very important that cybercriminals protect their usernames and passwords. They've also got support for blocking of bots and the Tor network. So, for example, they're blacklisting security vendors, like a Sophos, trying to access their malware. So just like you have firewalls and web application firewalls and web reputation systems, these guys are building them into their crime packs too. They're taking our techniques and applying them back against us. They've even got out-of-the-box support for integration into those checking services like VirTotal that I showed you earlier. So a pretty impressive set of capabilities that doesn't require you to be a programmer in order to take advantage of modern malware distribution. But, I've talked enough about malware. I want to talk about some other fun stuff. I want to get into some mobile things before you all get bored. Is anyone bored? No? Okay, that's good, because I could do another presentation. I have other things that I could talk about. I have a fascinating presentation about how to make solar panels and dynamos power a Raspberry Pi. No? Oh, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about mobile devices and how, as we adopt these new devices, we're opening up old wounds that previously we had closed with the PC. I want to talk a little bit about technologies like HTML5 and how each of these mobile operating systems are bringing in some new and unique challenges. Now, any mobile hacking is always a little bit risky. It could go wrong. It's a little bit flaky, depending on the wireless. So I'll warn you now, if it goes wrong, I will distract you by singing the Canadian national anthem. I'm not Canadian, it's just quite an interesting national anthem. I learnt it off Wikipedia. If it works, then I'd like you to do me a favor. If you could all make a really, really fake ooh noise, okay? So that everyone in the surrounding conference halls are kind of like, wow, information security is really interesting. Can you do that? Yeah? In fact, we'll have a practice, okay? No premature oohing. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was harmoniously fake. Oh, you guys have done that before, haven't you? You've been to Apple trade shows, obviously. Okay, so let me show you some of these demonstrations. First thing I want to show you, there we go. First thing I want to show you is just a little bit about wireless technology. Now, you probably all know that you can scan for wireless networks, right? It's pretty simple. But something you might not know is that you can not only scan for wireless networks, you can scan for mobile devices, such as you guys in the room, that aren't connected to wireless right now. So you can actually pick up people who are sitting in this room not using the wireless on their phones, which is something that not a lot of people know. That's normally when people start going, where's my phone? Turn it off quickly. So let's have a look. I'm running a little wireless scan here, and I'm running it in what I like to call not Google mode, so I'm not capturing any data. And this is a list of mobile devices in the room. Now, don't worry if you show up on this list. It's just by chance. I'm on here as well. And if you see anything rude, I'm sorry. Some people have very rude names for their wireless networks. I have quite a cool name. My name is Pretty Fly for a Wi-Fi, which was recommended at a previous conference. Does anyone have anything better than that? No? CIA surveillance van is also good. Your neighbors will really start to get paranoid. So if you look at this device here, this is a mobile device which is presently not connected to a wireless network, but has previously been connected to all of these networks. Now, these are amazing because in some cases, they'll be unique to an individual location. I was running a scan with the CIO of a large media company, and we found that his PA had a name on her phone which corresponded to a hotel in the Czech Republic, which it turns out she'd stayed at 2 weeks before. But what's much more interesting is with this mobile device, if I created a mobile network called D-Link, then my device would automatically connect to it without user interaction and start trying to use the internet. Now, you might not think that's a bad thing. Free internet is always good. Unfortunately, in this case, the network might be a little more sinister. So what I've got here is a pretty vanilla iPad, which I'm going to just show you a quick couple of demos on. Does anyone near the front know how to use an iPad? Anyone? No? You've never used an iPad before? Okay, Walter, you've used an iPad. Oh, that's cheating. No, you did the introduction. It's not allowed. Okay, I'm going to give you the iPad. Are you a good photographer? Pretty good? Okay, let me. In fact, you better come up here because if I walk past that speaker, no one will thank me for it. All right, so I'm going to give you the iPad, and please don't check your Hotmail. Okay, it's very embarrassing. I started talking about this demonstration in Dubai, and I said, whatever you do, don't check your email, because I'm going to hack the iPad. And immediately this guy's off to his internet banking. And I'm like, no, stop. Okay, so first things first, the iPad should have connected to my evil hacking instance. So just, if you look in the top left-hand corner, are you on a wireless network? If you just look at the little Wi-Fi logo at the top, can you see it? Fantastic, there you go. So we're on the Wi-Fi, this is good. So what I'm going to do is launch some very basic tools here that anyone can use. There are lots of ways of doing this. I'm a fan of Metasploit, though. Here we go. And we're going to create some fake DNS. The idea is we're going to hijack this iPad's connection. Now, it's been said that there isn't any malware for the iPad. I've seen 2 or 3 examples, but there isn't a great deal. However, some of these other attacks work very, very simply. It's going really fast, my computer today. If you run 4 virtual machines at once on a Mac, it actually increases to the temperature of the sun. And then smoke starts to come out and the keys all explode and it all goes horribly wrong. Let's see if it's going to go. We might have to reset it. Dun, dun, dun. Let's start a new one and see if it goes. I did warn you this demo could break. If not, I've got a backup plan. In fact, I know what it might be. It might be wireless signal. Would you be able to just hold it like that and just do this? It's worth a go. Oh, wow. Look at that. Fantastic. A round of applause. All right, I'll tell you what, whilst we let that load, I'll do the other demo first because it's just going really, really slowly. I should have given this more memory. So what I'd like you to do, if you could actually use the camera app to go and find an interesting-looking member of the audience, someone with a really cool beard, something like that. If you don't want to have your photo taken, then just tell Walter and he won't take a photo. If you can't find anyone who volunteers, just go for Marco, obviously, in the front. And obviously, this photo will be going onto Twitter, so make sure that you look good, okay? So if you could use the camera app, go for it. Get a good photo. Just smile. Just say, I'm really enjoying my presentation. Oh, there we go. Have you got a good photo? Is it spectacular? Okay, right, let's have a look at this. We'll see if we can see your photo. All right, whilst that loads, I'm going to switch over here. One of the really interesting things about iOS devices is that, of course, jailbreaking is quite a widespread practice. Any jailbroken phones here? No, of course, no. The way you went, possibly. Well, jailbreaking doesn't necessarily have to be voluntary. Jailbreaking can actually occur if the attacker retasks the PDF and deploys it. So what I've done here is emailed through a PDF to this device. And we'll do the email bit in just a second, but it's nicely preloaded. So when I connect here, I can actually get onto the iPad using SSH, just like a Linux box. Now this is fun, because you can make the iPad talk and do all kinds of fun things. It's always very upsetting when your iPad starts talking in the middle of a meeting. But what's really fun is you can access all of the data. So if we browse around here, we can see the Safari data, books, photos, all that kind of stuff. And the user carries on using it, thinking it's a perfectly legitimate, normal device. So what we're going to do is just use our local Wi-Fi connection to try and retrieve the photo. Now, does anyone know what the password is for this device? Alpine, because it's always the same on every single jailbroken device, unless you went and changed it, which most people don't. All right, so fingers crossed. We'll find out if you're a good photographer now. Who's that? Why is it sideways? That's a lovely photograph, sir. That's very impressive. Could you just stand up so that everyone can see you quickly? There you go. Ooh, do I get an ooh for that? It was worth a go, wasn't it? Fantastic. Let's see if the other demo is going to work. Otherwise, I'll move on to my last one. I think I broke Metasploit, which is very impressive. There we go. All right, round of applause for my willing victim. Thank you, Walter. All right, as I've broken that bit, I'm going to do one last super fun demo, and then I'll wrap up before I get in trouble with the organizers for taking too long. So has anyone here heard of IP version 6? Yes? Anyone using it? No. That's pretty common. So IP version 6 is the next generation internet protocol. Now what's interesting is if you look at a Windows system now, like Windows 7, by default, it actually has IP version 6 enabled. We'll just put that over there. Every time. Okay, here we go, IP config. Notice this address here. That's an IP version 6 address. Now, I haven't configured this specially to work with the internet. It's just a default configuration that most of you will have. Does anyone here remember the ping of death attack? Anyone? Yes, fantastic. A few people. So this was an attack in the old days where you could send a series of packets abusing fragmentation so that when they arrived at the victim, they'd be bigger than the maximum buffer and the computer would crash. So it's pretty neat. You could press a button and a computer would go offline. Now that obviously got fixed pretty quickly because most of us haven't heard of it today. But I want to show you how we're actually remaking mistakes. Some old problems are coming back in. And this is a variation. It's not using ICMP, but it's a protocol-level attack. So I'm going to just switch over to my hacker system and bring up IPv6. I'm going to run this very simple tool on my network for about a second. If I run it any longer, then the computer just crashes and I can't show you anything. Okay? So there we go. Oh, stop. No. If it does it too long, things get really painful. And we switch over to my Windows system. And notice 100% CPU use, and my memory starts to drain. Just by sending a few packets, this computer's now very near unusable. And if I send any more of those, it completely breaks. Just to show you what's happened, and this is a default configuration that would work on many of your systems. When we run our IP config again, you can see we now have quite a lot of IPv6 routers that have been advertised. So the lesson in that, as you adopt new technology, make sure you're keeping up to speed with new security vulnerabilities and issues. Don't fall into the trap of assuming that mobile devices and next-generation technologies are magically going to be secure. Make sure that you're closing off those vulnerabilities. You can find lots more information on how to configure yourself to be safe on sophos.com. And of course, you'll learn a lot more through the rest of the day about how our products can deal with things like that IPv6 attack and those mobile devices. So, apologies for overrunning by 3 minutes and boring you horrifically, but I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.
So, thank you, James.